Since this incident happened, it is the women and children that are suffering. Some of them up to now, they have not seen the whereabouts of their husbands. Many people die because of that. The women are crying. The women and children, they are going to bed every night with hunger, no food, because it's the men that are the breadwinners. They go out and bring food to the table.
There is no doubt that war affects women and men differently. Whenever there is conflict, women and children have been known to suffer disproportionately during and after war. Women and children are often the most vulnerable and prone to being the hit hardest. Women who survive these atrocities often have to live with vivid and terrifying images of rape, war, and death for the rest of their lives. Women also suffer sexually transmitted diseases, stigmatization, and sometimes unwanted pregnancies. They are faced with daunting task of keeping families together after displacement, providing food and shelter in most instances for their children and their families. Women and children in daboya are not exception in such a situation. It is obvious that the conflict between Gonjas and Mampruses over the ownership of land in Lukula in the North Gonja district of the Savannah region is hardly hitting on women and children. This house has been without a single soul for weeks as residents have fled for their lives. Women in this town are bearing the brunt of the unfortunate conflict.
Na be ku fol la na mu kul ba ku yanyu na mu kul ka bo le bolan esimi ka bo ne bolan tuturu bu yo enu bu wa anyimi ka bo bu wa ku so ki be tora nyi awa police na nya sababa yo nsuku bi amini na anke na musuku bi na ba ku la sa anyimi ka bo na nye bo na mashibi ansabu mu bis na ke na musuku bi na bo le ki ka ta ku subu ko lu bo ka kina njo bibi bi ka wo punto bi bana tide salanta wo punto na nyanyere na ka bo le ba pesa ko ka fitalo esika wunandere nkara ka mo na ni fitina so ebi wa na bibi won amam kula won doto fu wala jemu fita mu so ku punto ka suna kene ka fitin markiya nsala jiba ni asmin biya bum ya markiya an so be ko gwamnati na elare no ka
For the fear of being brutalized or arrested, majority of men in Daboya fled to seek refuge in the bush, leaving their wives and children as security have invaded the town. Several men and boys were assaulted and arrested during the heat of the conflict as it became impossible for men to sleep in their rooms. The situation has forced women and children in Daboya to sleep on empty stomachs as feeding became challenging for many families without their husbands.
Kanyima biri nesibe dese bebuto kanyima biri na nyanya adese bebuto tiban dese kanse ko ma ya kanya kanse ya nyo nibuka na bi ba na halin kabre hale chefo e kama mun ku yarda ne tinke biki sincin mata tar ba ya ka cikike ku tuntun binyanwa kar ba ya ka cikike ku tuntun binyanwa anya bici mala na nya ba sho kulti timinan chalbo ne setin awara jibi asike bi me beja ko ni sitile nyuntunu Kupuntu sense mba sila jibina ntan lawo kupuntu ya samo
anya ba banyan ka ba jobon wole an ka kanya na wala ka dato an robo anto na man gwamnati ba nuka ka wobu wocento timban fa ba piasa na mo tel fa ba lurun ba abuta am so bonu wetin ba lurna kuma sana an kan gwamnati asibu mo
Children in the community can no longer hold their pain and suffering since they have lost contact with their fathers.
When the police officers have come, we don't know they are Mapuche people. They are beating our fathers. Today is 4 days. I didn't see my father. I don't know where he is. Today is 4 days going. They are beating our fathers. If we go to school, they will ask us to go home. Our teachers are no more again. They are not in the school again. We don't know how that will do. They will not teach us anything that is last week that we write exams. We don't know how that we are going to do. They beat one of our father and one of our father have died.
So the impact of the police brutality as a result of the confusion between Lukula and then PSM residents is actually biting harder on people of Daboya, especially women. For several weeks now, women in Daboya are missing their husbands and children. They want the police to beat down their attacks and let peace prevail for their husbands to return from the bush and for normal life to begin in the Daboya community again.
Sustainable Development Goal 16 aim to significantly reduce all forms of violence and work with governments and communities to find lasting solutions to conflict and security. If Goal 16 of the SDG is achieved, women and children living in conflict-prone areas will breathe a sigh of relief. However, lots of efforts will be required to minimize, if not eradicate, conflicts in the northern part of Ghana, where chieftaincy and land ownership continuously to arouse fights.
Reporting from Daboya, I am Jonas Biaurubi.